About 40 years ago, when I started to repopularize the use of food as lures and rewards in training, a lot of people took exception to this and say, I don't want to use food in training, I don't want to bribe my dog. And, it used to upset me at the time, and I would explain in a, scientific fashion, no, there's many ways to use food in training. I'm using it as a lure and phasing it out. I'm using it as a training reward and phasing it out and replacing it with much more exciting life rewards. But I'm also using it as a distraction. I'm using it as a motivator. I certainly would not want to use it as a bribe because, parents and politicians tell you, bribes don't work. So looking at dog training these days, I'm actually shocked to find that so many people are bribing. So many people which are using food and toys in training, it's no longer as a lure reward. If you look at it, most people who go to dog class, they very quickly master beginning lure reward training, but they don't get beyond it. The lure is not phased out. Whereas in, the schema of lure reward training, stage 1, after just 6 to 12 trials, you should phase out the lure. Put it in your pocket. You don't need it. Your hand will get the dog to sit and lie down. And then as we go on, we now start to phase out food as a reward right in the first session by number 1 saying, well, we're only going to reward above average responses. So now only 50% of responses get rewarded, and then we thin that out until we're only rewarding, say, 1 response out of 3 or out of 5. We ask more for less as we put the dog on a differential reinforcement. But very quickly, we go cold turkey on food rewards entirely, and we replace it with much more meaningful life rewards. Sit, go play. Sit on the couch. So this was the way it was meant to be, that we use the food and we phase it out, but it's not happening in class. Now, if we continue using food as a lure, which a lot of people are doing, week 6 in their class, they're still trying to lure the dog, it's now become a bribe because we're presenting it beforehand to get the dog now to act against his will because he's turned into an adolescent and has other interests. So we got to stop this bribing. We got to learn the basics of lure reward training. We phase out the lure after 6 to 12 repetitions. We phase out the food reward in the first session, and we replace it with things which mean much more to the dog. In the clicker world, the same thing is happening, that there's very little attempt to phase out the clicker and the food pouch. That it's there week 1, it's there week 6 in class. And so now when the dog looks at the owner wearing their food pouch, with a clicker in hand, immediately they think, oh, yeah, this is fun training, that, yeah, I'll throw a few things at them if I feel like it. But what we're not doing here is getting the behavior on cue. The whole point of training to me is putting doggy behaviors on cue so that when we ask a dog to do something, we know we have off-leash reliability when the dog is at a distance and when the dog is distracted. By all means, we want to use our training tools, but there is indeed a lot of urgency for us to phase them out so that when we don't have them, the dog will still pay attention to us and will still do it.